Hello, everyone. Today I'd like to talk to you about George's Marvelous Medicine by Roald Dahl. As I've mentioned before, Roald Dahl stories use British English instead of American English, so some things are a little bit different. For example, cross means angry, lift means elevator, and so forth. If you warn students before to look out for those kinds of differences, it's just a helpful tip for them, so that they won't get frustrated and feel like they can't understand something. George's Marvelous Medicine is very straightforward story-wise, but the language is a little bit unusual in the Roald Dahl imaginative style. So I'll read you a snippet, and so you get a flavor of the author's writing in this particular book of his. Grandma. I'm going shopping in the village, George's mother said to George on Saturday morning, so be a good boy and don't get into mischief. This was a silly thing to say to a small boy at any time. It immediately made him wonder what sort of mischief he might get into. And don't forget to give Grandma her medicine at 11 o'clock, the mother said. Then out she went, closing the back door behind her. Grandma, who was dozing in her chair by the window, opened one wicked little eye and said, Now you heard what your mother said, George. Don't forget my medicine. No, Grandma, George said, and just try to behave yourself for once while she's away. Yes, Grandma, George said. George was bored to tears. He didn't have a brother or sister. His father was a farmer, and the farm they lived on was miles away from anywhere, so there were never any children to play with. He was tired of staring at the pigs and hens and cows and sheep. He was especially tired of having to live in the same house as that grisly old grunion of a grandmother. Looking after her all by himself was hardly the most exciting way to spend a Saturday morning. You can make me a nice cup of tea for a start, Grandma said to George. That'll keep you out of mischief for a minute. Yes, Grandma, George said. George couldn't help disliking Grandma. She was a selfish, grumpy old woman. She had pale brown teeth and a small, puckered-up mouth like a dog's bottom. How much sugar in your tea today, Grandmother? George asked her. 1 spoonful, she said, and no milk. Most grandmothers are lovely, kind, helpful old ladies, but not this one. She spent all day and every day sitting in her chair by the window, and she was always complaining, grousing, grouching, grumbling, griping about something or other. As you can hear from the language, there's a beautiful sort of sound to it all, but the language is a little difficult, and although this story is straightforward, I would probably recommend it to a higher level or an adult reader. The story is cute, it has the spirit of childhood in it, but some of the language is a little harder than others.